Part 8, hoping to get some bits of alley on today. So I've welded the steering column supporting, just trying to work out what to do at the front end because it has a raked section. So there's these extra supports to go in on each side, and then so it sort of comes across and then it dips down in the middle. Got to be careful because I don't want to run out of pedal movement. Don't want Maddie's feet to hit what will be the bodywork here. I've added these sections here because I wanted to get a roll under and at the front to get a little radius there, which I've seen on the real one. Yeah, let's get these pieces welded on. I think I'm going to need to do 4. So I have one going up, one at the lower level to support the flat sheet, and then I have to do a upright filler section in each side out of alley. Love making my life difficult for myself, and I've got to add scoops down the side, draw air in. Don't know if to put a floor in it yet. May just leave it open. May just cover the pods so that it's like a carpeted area inside, just to make it look nice, but may probably leave the rest of this sort of stuff at the front open, apart from, you know, it's obviously got pedal supports, so I've got to put foam and carpet over this section so it's nice and comfy and there's no sharp edges, and lots of sanding after all the welding. Yeah, and I've got to swap out the gears in the gearbox. Throttle pedal cable, don't know where that mounts. Maybe it just loops around there and goes back to an eyelet here, a little bit out of the way, and then over to the carb, which is all the way over there. Yeah, let's get these front bits welded on. So that's 2 bars in. I just bent this one. Just bend it in the vise and see what sort of profile I get. And this is going to drop in there to give the more raked front end. Just get the model. So that area there, see it slightly drop down. Should be able to get a little bit more foot room with the light pods because they're quite big. And then I've added some bits of tape across here just to see roughly where the cockpit area is going to be. I need to get Maddie in to check pedal length fitment. Just put steering wheel on, so I've got steering now. Someone mentioned in the comments about the Ackerman angle. It's a little bit lacking with the Ackerman, but because it puts the weight on the outside wheel, I think it should matter less. You can see as the camber kicks in, it digs in on the outside edge of the wheel, so I think I'll get away with that. It's not like it's meant for driving tests and things, so yeah, let's put those front rake sections in. Here I've added the secondary rake angle for the front end, added some little strengthener quadrants on the front arch and an engine steady to the top of the engine and back. Need to make a spoiler mount for the back, which will be up here. So I need to come off some of these sections and probably off the end of the go-kart chassis to do that. What else have I got to do? It's just trying to think of all the things. Probably put the sides on. I'll sand off the welds on the side, put the sides on out of the alley sheet, because they've got to be bonded and riveted, and they're not really going to get in the way while I'm doing the rest of the mechanical work. So, added fuel tank, fuel lines, fuel tap, throttle cable. Tried to start the engine and something has seized up or is binding in the gearbox. It takes quite a lot of effort to turn this. You can turn it, but it's stiff. So gonna have to pull that apart, because it should be, doesn't feel like it's warm anywhere, should be fairly free running. Anyway, I'm going to change the gears in it anyway, so that's not too much of a problem at the moment. I'm just running it to see how loud it is with an open pipe, and it is a bit loud. I'll just fire it up. This is Scarlett doing a test fit of the pedals, and the floor is a bit low. And also the seat needs to come forward a lot from where I thought it needed to be, so I think it needs to go to there. And then you would reach the pedals if it was there. Right. It was a bit loud, the open pipe, so I've added, this is half of the exhaust system it had fitted when I got it. I did have another one of these boxes here, and then a funny twisty pipe. It's a bit smaller coming out than it is going in, so it's a bit of a restriction. This makes it a bit more manageable for noise. So let's start it up. The only thing is, of course, without the gearbox attached, I don't have a starter, but I think this starter has been overworked. This engine seems to like being spun really quickly to start. Not really for very long, but yeah, just quickly. So you're just using a drill on the end of the flywheel to do that. Keep trying to start the engine, and it seems to run alright, and chin carburettor seems to idle nicely. Switch it off and then you just can't get it started for like half an hour, 40 minutes. Don't know whether it's the carb. I've actually taken the original plug out to change it for a more normal NGK7 heat range plug with a standard cap, and it's got a spark. I don't know whether it's the carburetor. Obviously it's all quite old, but you know, maybe, yeah, it's probably 30 years old. It seems to pump fuel through correctly. It's got this return line. You can see fuel coming through it, so it is pumping the fuel. It just fires every now and then nothing, and then you have to leave it, and then it seems to start up okay. I haven't got any footage of it running because it's a rarity. So yeah, I don't know. I'm sort of losing faith in the engine, because if we go all the way to LeMans, I don't want to be struggling to get the engine to run. So I'm thinking, as a temporary measure, I'm just going to put a 125 semi-automatic, instead of taking the gears out and putting them in this gearbox, because I've already got the mounts and everything for it. I can just put the whole engine in there, and it's got the right chain alignment. I've looked at doing different options with the rotary engine, putting a centrifugal clutch on, but the gear ratio needs to be stepped down. I can get a 52 tooth for the rear axle, but the centrifugal clutch has got a fixed sprocket of 12 teeth on it, which I think gives us about 60 miles an hour without gears, and that probably means it's going to be really slow off the start as well. But yeah, I don't know if I really want it to do 60. Yeah, lots to think about. So in the meantime, I think I'm going to put the side on here and start on the front end with the sheet. Let's do that. So I've got a sheet of 8x4 aluminium, 1/2 mil thick. Just propped it up against those two pieces of wood under the sill height, and sketched around with a Sharpie the profile. And I'm going to be using a nibbler type thing to trim it out. The idea of this is it doesn't distort the metal either side. It's almost the right blue. So these are just cut out roughly. These nibbler cutting tools, they cut out a little quadrant. No, not quadrant. I'm trying to think of a moon-shaped piece. So it means that you lose, between where you cut to the line, you lose about 6 millimeters, which is the thickness of that nibbler part. Anyway, don't get any distortion at the side, which is why it's good. Over, say, tin snips on large sheets, you can distort it quite easily. So these are just roughly cut to shape, and now I need to trim for a more accurate tyre clearance. Just modified the hubs slightly to pull the wheels in a bit so they don't stick out too much. And need to do the other side. Marked out the other side section there, and then start building up the front. Don't know how far to go, because I might need to move the steering column forward a little bit. It's a little bit, if I'm trying to get a bit more room for a 125 engine, the barrel will sit forward, so I want to make sure there's enough clearance. So I might drop the column forward a little bit, just so that there's enough room. But I need to get Maddie down here to check for pedal fitment and seat fitment and steering wheel fitment. This is the rear cover, just marked it for a bend. I'm just going to go inside and try and bend it. This is an old bit of handrail for the stairs, and I just started to bend across there and try it back on the body. So that's an approximate bend. I'll pull that down with rivets as we fit it to the frame. Left a bit of a overlap here so I can join the next sections across here. And next I need to cut out the back section and then fold it round. It's cut, just going to fold that round. That's the back folded round. This is all just roughly cut, so I've got some overhang on different bits so I can fit it. It's going to be stuck in place and riveted. Just starting on the front, just roll the front edge so it's got a smooth corner at the front. Do 2 more bits and then the filler sections to fill those gaps. That's basically all the panels that I need. I've got to make a spoiler support at the back and obviously a spoiler. So I'll fold that out of alley. I think it's got to be full width, and it's sort of across the back. Actually, I think it probably hangs out behind it. I'll look at the model and some pictures, see where it needs to be. So that's basically the body panels. I need to stick them on and rivet them and finalise the shape of them. That is next episode.